So Representative Byron Donalds stopped by the Breakfast Club to try and have a civilized conversation, like always. But for some reason, the Breakfast Club just like taking L's when it comes to something that's opposing which political party they lean towards. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy, he gave him an L. Larry Elders gave him an L. Byron Donalds just gave him an L. Who was the other guy? Geez. It's not ringing a bell. But anyways, you would think after having different conversation with different politicians that represent the other side, you would figure something would click in their brain and say, wait a minute, let me research what they're talking about so I can get an accurate description so I won't look bad before they come on the show. So I won't bring up false narratives, right? You would think something upstairs will click, but for some odd reason, it just doesn't click. But anyways, it was a pretty good interview overall. Angela Rye stopped by, and pretty much she was doing all the talking pretty much. And I guess she had wrote all of her little talking points down, what she wanted to talk about and hit on. And one thing I don't like when they bring anybody from the Republican Party on, what I don't like that they do, it's like they don't do research. It's like they get their talking points from the Democrats and then bring those same talking points when they're actually talking to that person, not knowing they're just touting a bunch of lies and a bunch of propaganda when dealing with these other folks. But one thing I learned, when you're dealing with politicians, you have to come with receipts and bring your A game, because they're going to fact check you when they see that you're promoting lies, and they're going to make you look stupid, as in this interview. But the clip I'm gonna show you, they was dealing with talking about reparations and stuff like that. I'm sorry, reparations, not that clip. They brought up Project 2025, and some other stuff after that. But let's get into it, and we'll talk about that. All right, here we go.
And so then I think we should just touch briefly on Project 2025, which would erode most of that progress, right? So we've already noted your overwhelming voting record with the Heritage Foundation-based agenda. Project 2025 is a joint proposal of the Heritage Foundation, and 25 of the 30 chapters written in Project 2025 were written by former Trump staffers. At least 140 people who worked for Donald Trump worked on Project 2025. And we know that it is treacherous for the Black community because it seeks to dismantle affirmative action, weaken anti-discrimination laws.
And see, and this is what I mean when I say do your homework and research before you bring up certain conversations. Because I done heard several times where Donald Trump brought up he have nothing to do with Project 2025. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, he said he didn't know what Project 2025 was when they first brought it up to him. He had no idea what it was. But yet the Democrats will still keep pushing that narrative, saying that, oh, Project 2025, we know he's behind it, he's this, he's that, da, da, da. Matter of fact, the author of Project 2025, he came out and said Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. And matter of fact, majority of us don't even know what Project 2025 is, but we hear the other side talk about it. And what we do, we take it and we run with it without doing proper research and homework. And we just gonna say what the mainstream media tells us to say, or what the Democrat Party tells us to say. We just gonna keep spewing those lies. They're politicians. They lie for a living. And you would think since the 60s, we've been voting Democrat, and yet we have not called out their lies. but yet we still give them our vote without giving us anything. All they gotta do is just lie to us. Oh, please lie to me. Make me feel so good. And they do just that. And in return, what we get? Nothing. But let's get back to it.
Reduce the enforcement powers of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which, by the way, Clarence Thomas used to work there. Reduce Medicaid funding. Eliminate programs aimed at addressing health disparities. Includes measures to increase policing and incarceration. Reduce funding for community-based alternatives and eliminate initiatives aimed at addressing systemic racism in the justice system. As a black man, how are you not concerned with the agenda that is proposed by Project 2025?
To be blunt, I'm not concerned about it because nobody in the Trump campaign or Donald Trump himself is even talking about it. To be blunt with you, Angela, none of us have even read it. So here's the problem, right? I get it.
So none of us is, you're saying that the 25 of the 30 chapters that were written by his former staff and at least 140 people who worked for Donald Trump haven't touched it, or are you now distancing yourself from those people? I'm happy to name names, including Stephen Miller, who I know you're very familiar with, was a very senior official in the Trump administration. And I know that we're clear about the fact that you guys are not naming it anymore because it's kind of become the boogeyman of this campaign, right?
I think I might have to start saying fuck Project 2025, to be honest with you. I really distance yourself.
That's what Donald Trump has done. He's distanced himself every single time. Every time he's asked about it, he goes, I have nothing to do with it. I don't even know.
But Donald Trump isn't here today, Byron.
I know, right? Hold on.
See, they don't. I'm sorry, you guys got echo. I had the mic. I didn't mute the mic. I'm sorry about that. But see, that's one thing I don't like. They don't want to deal in facts. He just said Donald Trump did not support that. What did she say? Donald Trump's not here today. Is you here? What does it mean? What does it matter what he thinks about Project 2025? The one who you guys keep worried about, Donald Trump, he shut it down. But yet you guys don't want to deal in that. You guys just want to keep just throwing that false narrative around. Please stop.
Now let me.
Do you fuck with it? You like it?
I haven't read it. So this is the thing, Charlamagne. I haven't.
So I just named what it does.
Angela, first of all, with all due respect, I like to read things for myself.
How?
Before,
that's smart.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all due respect to you, but I want to read everything for myself before I make a judgment. I will tell you that, like the Heritage Foundation, there are think tanks all through Washington. You have the Center for American Progress and all these other think tanks. They all do a bunch of policy prescriptions. They all do a bunch of programs and projects. I think the UN has something called Project 2030. That's a UN project that's going on right now. What I do know is that Heritage Foundation or any other policy group is not setting policy for Donald Trump. Donald Trump's setting policy for Donald Trump.
So are you going to distance yourself from the Heritage Foundation as well, Byron? Are you saying that?
See, no matter what answer you give, no answer is good enough for them. Now she wants him to separate himself from the Heritage Foundation. He just said he had nothing to do with Project 2025. Don't know what's in Project 2025. Now she's going to move the goalposts a little more. Now she wants to distance himself from the Heritage Foundation. There's no pleasing these people. It's like they're brainwashed. I'm not going to say brain dead because these are some intelligent people we're dealing with, but they're like they're brainwashed.
Distance myself, Angela. I'm not a part of the Heritage Foundation. I'm a United States.
But your voting record is 96% in alignment with what they've prescribed as policy recommendations for this country. 96%.
If Kamala Harris's voting record is 96% of the time aligned with the Center for American Progress, does that mean she works at the Center for American Progress, Angela?
That's not the analogy that I made.
That is exactly the analogy you make it. Come on now.
I have a question.
Sis.
See, anytime you use their own logic against them, see, this is where the argument fall apart. Because when you turn it around and use their logic against them, they try to move the goalposts further. See, there's no, you can't reason with them. Let me say that, because they're not going to be truthful and honest. They, in line with the Democrat Party lockstep, I'm talking about whatever the Democrat Party tells them to do, they go right along with it. They may say they don't. They may disagree with what I'm saying, but their actions prove otherwise. Black people, let me tell you this. We will never get ahead in life, right? Listen to me. We will never get ahead in life following behind the Democrat Party. Yeah, you're going to have a couple that make it out. And the ones who got plenty of money, they get on here and talk that crazy talk like she's talking, like the Breakfast Club be talking. But the real American people, the average citizens that work a regular 9 to 5, no. We can see the lies if we choose to see it, but some of us, we just turn a deaf ear towards it and listen to these lies that they keep touting. Go ahead, Donald.
That's
maybe
exactly
if you
the
could hear
analogy,
and
the
not
analogy
be
you make it
defensive,
right
what
now.
I said was, would you distance yourself from the Heritage Foundation? Would you distance yourself from the Project 2025? Would you condemn Project 2025, noting that it will have some horrible impacts on the people who look like you, the very folks who you said that you're working overtime to ensure they have access to this economy? This project would decimate that access and would decimate the Voting Rights Act of 65, which you're still not supporting pre-clearance for, 1964 Civil Rights Act, and the Fair Housing Act, all the things that you said that you want to decrease access to.
Angela, you got to read it first.
Angela, I just said it. I haven't read it. So there's not something I'm ascribing to or supporting in it. Nobody on the Trump campaign, to my knowledge, including President Trump, they have not read it. They're not subscribed to it. And let's be very clear, because you mentioned all the people that were in the Trump admin network over there were doing some of that work. There were people in the Obama admin that work at think tanks now. They're doing policy work.
She's not going to bring that up because that doesn't go along with her narrative. So they would never bring the can't find the word I'm looking for. But anyways, if she bring it up, that would pretty much destroy her argument, trying to paint Trump out as a racist or the Project 2025 out as being racially motivated. Let me say that. So she's not going to bring that part up.
There were people at the Georgia. So this happens all the time. I think the issue, hold on. Now, let me finish now. There are people who work in presidential administrations on Capitol Hill. They go to think tanks. They write up white papers all the time. That does not mean that what they write up actually becomes law. And so that's the point I'm making. So for Vice President Harris's campaign to be talking so much about Project 2025, which Donald Trump isn't even a part of, has not subscribed to, has not said, this is my plan, when you can go to his website and you see the policies he wants to support.
Which is in lockstep with Project 2025.
No, it is not, Angela. You need to stop now. Or you can read the Republican platform, which Donald Trump actually changed at our convention this year, which is the policy sets of our party and what we are ascribing to and what we want to do as a party. I think that's where voters need to go.
Trump has.
So if there's no distinction between Project 2025, the Republican platform, and Donald Trump's campaign platform, how can you distance yourself from Project 2025?
I got a different question, because
Trump has disavowed Project 2025.
I'm just seeking an answer.
But he did praise the Heritage Foundation a lot for years.
Of course, I mean, yeah, we all have praised the Heritage Foundation, but that doesn't mean we agree with that work that Heritage did. But here's my question. What does Kamala Harris actually want to do? Because let's talk about her economic plans that she's come out. I'm going to go through a couple of them.
Man, I wish I had my soundboard hooked up. I give Byron Donalds on hand for that. This is what they don't want to talk about. They will talk about everything that's going on except Kamala Harris policies. This is what they don't want to talk about. But they'll talk about her name. They'll talk about Project 2025. They'll talk about the insurrection. They would bring up everything except the policy. So I thank you, Byron Donalds, for bringing that up. Well, I wish I was on the west coast of Florida. I'm on the east coast of Florida, but I wish I was on the west coast. Because, boy, we need representation like you, man, who's going to be honest with the people. All right.
She says she wants to tax unrealized gains. I don't know if she really wants to do that anymore, because Mark Cuban, who's supporting her, went on CNBC and said that it would destroy the stock market.
Answer Project 2025.
But hold on, I'm checking to see where Kamala Harris is in this conversation. Because we have a presidential election in 38 days now.
See, when you start talking about policy, they want to keep going back. She said he didn't answer the question. He did answer the question. He had nothing to do with Project 2025. What more does she want him to say? I don't know. But when he go to talk about policy, she don't want to discuss policy. No. Let's keep this about Project 2025. Come on, people. You guys got to understand, man. You guys got to. You should have. You should have caught on by now that the game that they're playing. This is why you can't take these people serious, man. This is why you have to do your research, your homework for yourself. You ain't got to take Byron Donalds' word for it. You ain't got to take Angela Rye word for it. You ain't got to take my word for it. I'm just putting my 2 cents in. I don't know much. I'm just an American citizen living in Florida. But all I'm saying, do your homework, do your research for yourself, and make an informed decision on your own. What best represents you and your family. Not what these people telling you. People say everything. And check their track record behind what they're saying. See, do they have a history of helping people out? Or do they just have a history of just tongue in cheek? Like Sleepy Joe. Mitch McConnell. I'm just trying to name a couple of people, whoever. Those people are not for you. They're for the big donors. Remember that.
Now, which is the thing that's coming forward. So we need to have this conversation. She wants to do price gouging or go after price gouging. Well, how are you going to do that? Because when you do that, what you're actually going to do is put downward pressure on prices in our country. When you do that artificially, what you create is scarcity of product. So what that means is you're going to have poor people in our country who are going to have less access to goods and services, because rich people are going to get their goods and services no matter what. They have the access points. They're going to get them. So you're going to have less product for poor people in our country. She had a thing about she wants to do $25,000 for a new home, for new first-time home buyers.
I think that's great.
Well, no, it's not, because what's going to happen is it's going to increase the cost of housing $25,000. Because if you know every first-time home buyer has $25,000 from the government in their back pocket, you as the seller, you're going to be like, ooh, wait a minute. Every seller writ large is going to be like, you know what? Well, then I can increase my price to $25,000. It's going to have an upward trajectory shot on housing costs in our country, which is the thing we don't need in America. Those are three economic policies I know are not going to work.
Well, that sounds like a hypothetical.
Yeah. Why would it increase that? If somebody gets $25,000 from the government to purchase their phone,
let's say there's 3 million first-time home buyers in the United States of America. They all have an additional $25,000 of purchasing power. You do have a situation where every seller in the country is going to realize, oh, shoot, is this a first-time home buyer? Well, I know you have an additional 25. When you provide that type of stimulus into an economy, what you end up doing is you increase prices in whatever that economy is. She says she wants to build 3 million new homes. How are you going to do that? Let me explain why. Environmental policy, both at the federal and state level, makes it much harder to build housing. Whether you believe in climate change or not, weatherizing, energy efficiency, all of those regulations has made it more expensive to build housing. If the federal government says, okay, now we're going to go for 3 million new homes, okay, well, how's that going to work? Are you going to change the regulatory burden for building those new homes? Are you now going to have a disjointed regulatory burden between the federal house and one built in the private sector? That's not smart. You can't do that. So if you're not going to change the regulation, you're just going to pump more money into the system. What you're going to do is you're going to push up the costs for the materials to build housing, which is going to make it more expensive, not less expensive. And so if you take advantage of the home that Kamala built for you, great for you, but for the entire economy writ large, it's not going to be good because the cost of housing is going to go up on everybody. That doesn't help people.
So with that said, you disagree with the stimulus checks too then?
At the time when stimulus checks were going through under COVID-19, the only reason I agreed with them is because the entire economy was shut down. So when you shut down the entire economy and nobody has an ability to go and earn money, then yeah, you got to step in the gap and do that. The only difference was the last one we did, that's the article I gave you on the American Rescue Plan. Even Larry Summers said the amount of stimulus they were going to put in was 5 times the amount of decreased economic input we were having in the country because of the COVID-19 medical protocols that locked down communities and locked down states. So that's what created your inflation, which has crippled purchasing power for everybody in our country. Man, go fix a car. We talk about food so much, or we talk about housing so much. And of course, that's important. Go fix your car. I just got the bill from my son's car. That thing got me, and I can make it work. What about people who aren't in my position, or frankly, who were in my position when I was 30 and not 45? Because 30-year-old me couldn't live under this price regime that has been brought to us by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
Hold on, Angela, we're going to wrap in a second, but I want to ask you.
That is true. It's hard to make it on your own, especially if you're young. Up under the current conditions that we're up under right now, it was hard. I make decent, right? But my money doesn't go further. Matter of fact, I can afford less. I'm making more money than I ever made before in my lifetime, but yet I can afford less. Make it make sense, right? I can't afford to stop working. If I stop working right now, I can't afford to take a whole month off. I'll be in trouble. I don't have enough savings in my account to last me like that. Because the quicker the money come in, the quicker it's going out. And I'm not splurging on anything. There's plenty of stuff that I need to get and that I want, but I can't afford it right now. My family and I, we can't even take a vacation. Matter of fact, we haven't took a vacation since 2020, I want to say. Yeah. No. 2019 was the last time we took a vacation. Then, COVID hit, whatever. And our stuff was just too far out of control. I would literally go bankrupt if we go try to take a decent vacation. Try to leave the country and take like a week vacation or something like that. We can't afford it. So yeah, he have a point when he said that. But they refuse to acknowledge that. Or they'll try to push the blame on someone else. They won't let you blame Biden or whoever. All right.
A couple questions about the party, right? Really one question.
Yeah.
Why do people think the economy does better under Republicans when the data shows otherwise? And this is a question I've been asking the different people that have economy backgrounds. Like, why do people think the economy does better under Republicans, but the data shows since World War II, the economy has performed better under Democratic presidents?
Well, I would actually make one adjustment to that statement. Mm-hmm. I think the economy typically performs better when you have split government. Because what ends up happening is you don't have one party just pushing all economic policy. It kind of stagnates out economic policy. And what businesses want more than anything is consistency in policy. Like, a business owner is, like any athlete. As long as you're not changing the landscape of the field, once I know what the rules are, I can go operate and be effective.
So what do you think? You think Democratic president and Republican let everything out? What do you think? What are you saying?
You probably hate to see Kamala's support to business owners.
But I'm saying, when you say split government, what do you mean?
I'm saying historically, our economy has performed best under split government. I'm not saying that. Typically, it's Republican president and Democrat.
But that's
Senate,
not what
Democrat
the data
House.
shows. The data shows it does better under Democratic president.
No. What I'm saying is that historically over time is when you have split government. But I think the reason why, to your original point about why do people feel that way, is because when Donald Trump was president versus when Joe Biden was president, that's what people are looking at right now. Donald Trump wages adjusted for inflation were up. Costs were stabilized. And so those two inputs in an economy make you feel like you have more money in your pocket. When Donald Trump came into office, under then President Obama, our economy was somewhat stagnant. We were growing about 1.5% per year. And so his changes in economic and tax policy in particular, but then also regulatory policy, where he cut a ton of regulations, our economic growth moved from 1.5 to 3.5. That's a real boost to people, and they see it and they remember it. Now you have the Biden-Harris economy. Well, we've stagnated again, and inflation is massively up. So how people feel is, wait a minute, I just went to the grocery store. I bought bread. I bought cookies. I bought milk. It's way more expensive. I got a raise, but it doesn't feel like I'm still getting ahead. My rent's more expensive. Fixing my car is more expensive. And all those things are obviously ascribed to the current administration because the inflation started really in September 2021 after the American Rescue Plan, that was Joe Biden's plan, came into law. So people are feeling that, Charlamagne. And I think that's why, in the backdrop of politics, I talked a little bit about people moving under the feet of the parties. One of the reasons why black men in particular are starting to look at Donald Trump, because they're like, you know what? At least my pockets were good when he was president. The other stuff, that's other stuff. Well, I think I was making more money and my money was going further.
But I think they feel like that because of the stimulus checks and the PPP loans. But you got to look at what had to happen in order for that money to go out. Like, we had to have a freaking pandemic where millions of people died.
But no.
That's not going to happen again. But I hope not.
Oh, no, I don't want it to happen either. But I want to be clear on this. Wages adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, what Charlamagne said, remember, Biden gave out stimulus checks also, not just Trump. Biden gave them out also. So that comment that you just made, it doesn't make sense. Bring out the fact that Biden brought out my kids coming in the house. That Biden brought. Hey, relax. Biden brought out stimulus also. But give me a second. Well, I forgot my train of thought. My kids walked in the house. But yeah, but anyways, they both gave stimulus checks. Trump gave a stimulus check and Biden gave stimulus check. So that point Charlamagne just made don't make sense.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic was at the highest level for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans in the history of the country. The wage gap, which gets talked about so much in our politics, the wage gap was actually decreasing under Donald Trump's presidency. And then the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and then COVID was just such a disaster for everybody. And now we have a situation where we have massive inflation in the country. Inflation today is like a little over 3% year over year. But when you take in the totality of these price increases, prices are up well over 20% in our country the last 4 years. That's real life stuff everybody's dealing with. And I think that's why Donald Trump is being more successful in some parts of the electorate than he has in the past.
All right.
So yeah, that was the video. I just wanted to show you guys that clip. I actually forgot my train of thought what I wanted to discuss, but because my kids walked in, so now I'm all discombobulated. But hopefully you guys see the video. Basically, what the takeaway: read for yourself. Right? Don't let these people tell you what they're gonna do, because we can tell you anything. They can tell you anything. But read what their policies are. Right? Like, you can say one thing, saying and doing is two different things. I'll tell you anything to get something from you. But would I really do it? Who knows? But bottom line, I can't think straight. It's going to be the end of the video. And you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.